Yeah, hello YouTube. Yeah, it's another day that we have a motherboard here. Yeah, it's quite big, and this should let you know that these are quite older model of the laptops, the HPs. Yeah, and this motherboard is from another computer shop. It's not from a customer, and that's why I've received it the way you can see. You understand, if it was a customer, the customer will bring the whole laptop and I'll have to disassemble the laptop myself. So the fact that you can see it this way, just know that the technician had tried to work on it. And I can see these areas here, there's some burnt. And yeah, sorry, I was talking to a client. Yeah, so from what I can see from this motherboard, the technician was trying to work on something here. I don't know whether you can see. And I think he was burning the motherboard. I think this is a chip he's trying to change. And also here, I can tell he was trying to work on something here. There's a lot of flux here. And you can see there's also some burns. Yeah, the other area I would talk of is this one here. And this one here. This area is full of flux, and though we are going to see it under the microscope. So myself, I really don't work. I really don't like to work on a motherboard that has been worked on before by a technician or somebody else. In most cases, these motherboards have so many faults. Like somebody will try to remove a chip. Like I've seen where a customer was trying to fix a laptop, but they maybe just to try your luck and see whether the laptop is going to come on. And so sometimes there's plug of a chip, and these people don't even know maybe there's pin number 1, pin number 2, pin number 3. Just in case you are not conversant with the laptop components and the chip posture and architecture. So he will turn the chip and he will solder it the wrong way, such that the pin number 1 is not where it's supposed to be. And so when you put in the charger, plug in the charger, the machine will just short and the motherboard is done. And so personally, I don't like to work on these motherboards, but sometimes I do work on them on maybe there are some technicians who will bring it to me and I'll understand maybe this one he a little bit knows what he's doing. And so when I asked him, did you remove any component or did you do anything else? Although it's still not safe, because you may find that also the technician injected higher voltages on power rail that was supposed to be injected with a lower amount of voltages. And so in the process, the CPU is dead, or maybe other components are dead. Like for instance, if you have a 3 volts power rail, you cannot go injecting 19 volts on that rail. What will happen? The components in that rail they cannot be able to withstand the 19 volts power rail. And so what will happen is that the machine will, some components will short out, or some will stop working, and some will just burn off. And so today, this motherboard came from this technician, and he's talking about that he had tried to work on the motherboard and the motherboard is not coming on. Why he's bringing it to me is because that the motherboard started working and the fan spin like for some time, and I don't know what happened. After some minutes, the motherboard stops working again. And so what I've come to realize with this motherboard, there's a short circuit with this motherboard. And to me, before you start working on these chips, before you start soldering and desoldering chips, you might be in a position first to check whether the board is having a short circuit. And so today I thought we could do a video on how to find a short circuit on a laptop's motherboard. So to find short circuit, the first thing you need to do, using a multimeter. Finding short circuit using a multimeter, you have to be in diode mode. What is diode? Okay, I have another multimeter here. This one I'll just use it to show you where the diode mode is. You see, this sign here is the diode mode. I hope you can see that. This one here. This is the diode mode. And this is where you touch the two probes and there's a beep sound, or the red light comes on. They start to flash because they... And so the diode modes, like now I'm going to go into the diode mode using my multimeter here. Now, being in the diode mode, I've just come here with my, you see, I've just turned the multimeter here to that place. Ohms diode modes, this one here. Such that when I touch the probes, like this, you see on my multimeter, we are coming from 0L. You can see. So diode mode, most of the time, it's used for continuity. What is continuity? Continuity is we have this wire here. This is a solder. Let's see what is the work of diode mode. So diode mode purposely is meant to check for circuit breakages. Maybe where there's a circuit is broken. Now, if you look at this wire here, if I touch this side and this side, my multimeter is telling me the circuit is continuous. You can hear the beep sound. So what happens when I remove these two wires, like I disconnect them like this? If I touch this side and this side, I'm not going to have a beep. Why? My multimeter has detected that there's a circuit breakage. The circuit has been broken somewhere in between, and that's why I'm not having a beep from this side and this side. So if I touch one point of the ground, this is ground, and the other one, you see, there's a continuous, there's a 00 on my multimeter, and it's telling, there's a beep on my multimeter, is telling me that this part here is connected with this one, and a minute, and this ground here is connected with this one. This one is connected with this one. This one is connected with this one. So if there's no link between this point and this point, there's a broken pad here, or there's a breakage of power circuit, I'm not going to get a beep. And this is what we are saying here. Look here, here, and here. We can't have a beep because there's a power broken. But when they touch together, like that, we are going to have a beep because there's a continuity in power. So I hope you have understood the diode mode. And this is what, okay, using a multimeter to check a motherboard short circuit, you will come and put your black probe on any part of the motherboard and maybe try to check on component like the capacitors. Here there's no short circuit. There's a short circuit on this area here, you see, this area here. Yeah, there's a beep, 00. And you come the other side, there's also a beep. And the technician who was working on this motherboard, I think maybe the multimeter he's having could not tell him there's a short circuit, because the first thing I noted when I took this motherboard is that there's a short circuit, and most probably the short circuit could be as a result of these chips they were trying to change, because maybe they did not put the chip properly, or maybe the chip was placed when facing the wrong direction, where pin number 1 is not in its position, and so that's why you're having a short circuit using a multimeter. You see? So let's go under the microscope mode so that we can see this together. Yeah, so under the microscope mode, we want to see these caps here. This is one of the area I was talking about when I was saying these are some of the areas the technician was working on earlier before. Yeah, so how we are able to know about this is because of the flags. You can see how these chips are full of flags here. See here, this is flags. See, also this part here is a flags. And so this is a cup, a ceramic capacitor. And so let's see whether there is a short. Remember, touching on this side we have a beep, and touching on the other side we have a beep. And which power rail is this? This is a 19 volts power rail. Using a multimeter, we're able to get a beep when there's a short circuit, you can see. Because a good cap is supposed to have a beep only on one side and not both sides. Like that. There's a short. And there's a short this side. Also short this side. I'm trying to look for a good capacitor and maybe see how a good cap is behaving. Yeah, like the one on there. A short. Hey, this motherboard is shorted almost everywhere. So let's try this one for the RAM. Okay, this is the RAM. I'm trying to get one cap from the RAM and try to see how a good cap behaves. Yeah, that's a capacitor on the RAM. So where is this cap? It's here. You see beep on one side, and the other side we have a reading on the multimeter. You can see we have a reading on the multimeter. One side a beep, and the other side a reading. So why are we saying there's a short on this motherboard? Because when we come on these caps here, when we come to check on these caps here, you see, we are just from checking how a normal cap is supposed to sound. On this side, we have a beep. You can check on my multimeter. And on this side, we have a beep. You can see, that is a short circuit. I hope we are together up there. So, when you come with your power supply, when I come with the power supply, and I insert charger, let's check the charger under the camera here. You see, I'm inserting the charger here. You see, I'm getting a 4 milliamps. Why am I getting 4 milliamps? Because there's a short circuit. I'm getting 4 milliamps because there's a short circuit. Higher. The other thing I need to do to know there's a short circuit. This is through experience. Let me tell you, sometimes you're not going to know this just because of, you know this through experience. This is the first MOSFET in this case. Okay. So you come here on the first MOSFET. You can see this is the charging port. This is where the charger is. This is the charging port. You come here on the first MOSFET. You get there's the 19 volts. So let me go under the voltage mode. So for those who are not sure what I've done to go on the voltage mode, I'll show you under the microscope. Okay, under the camera mode. Let's go back to the camera mode so you can see what I mean when I say microscope mode. I mean on the voltage mode. You'll come from the diode mode. Remember, we had gone to the diode mode, and we come all the way to this part here. This part here, voltage. The V, one continuous line and one dotted line. This is 20 because we are having 19 on our power supply. So that's how I've done to come back to the voltage mode. And so let's go back to the microscope mode, so that we start taking some measurements. Okay. So on the voltage mode, I've just shown you the first MOSFET. Here it is. You see, we have the 19 volts here, but we don't have the volts here. You get it? Why? Because there's a short and the MOSFET is not switching on. See, we have talked before about the MOSFET. MOSFET are switches. And if we Google the number of this MOSFET here, maybe if we try to Google the number of this MOSFET to try to see the schematics, let me go with so PK. Okay, okay. EK 6B2. Okay, so you can see I've tried to look for this MOSFET to confirm that the MOSFET is like a switch, and try to see the various schematics of a MOSFET. So from what you have seen is that the MOSFET is having a voltage on this side. You can see a voltage but nothing on this side. On this side, and that is the secret we are having from this MOSFET here, that our short circuit is not from this side going backwards, it's from this side onwards, because here we have a voltage, but here we don't have a voltage. You can check on my multimeter. So the short is from this point here, it's on this side of the MOSFET. And so how do you know which part of the MOSFET, which part of the what am I trying to say? I'm saying that's how you get to know the side where the short is, because here we have a voltage, here we don't have a voltage, the short is on this side. And so what you're trying to see now is the schematics of the MOSFET to try to see the different aspects of a MOSFET, or features of a MOSFET. And so let me try to clean a little bit on this one so that you'll be able to see very well. And so when I come with a multimeter here, let's go back to the continuity mode. You realize that 3 pins are connected together. And check the 3 pins here. These 3 pins are connected together. You see, this 3 pin, even from checking from the, you see that pin and this one, there's a continuous beep on my multimeter, if you can see, because this pin and this pin and this pin are connected together, but this pin is not connected together with the, it's not connected together with the other one. And so all of a sudden my power supply have started to detect a short circuit. You know why? Because we opened the MOSFET. Check at my power supply. You can see 5 volts, 5 amperes is being drawn by the motherboard. You see, that's how we have switched on the MOSFET, because we've just touched the gate. When you touch the gate, you switch on the MOSFET. And so now the MOSFET is open, and before the MOSFET was in closed mode. Now I don't know whether we'll be able to close the MOSFET again. Let me try to close the MOSFET. So I'll come here again and touch the MOSFET. I don't know whether I've been able to close the MOSFET. Okay, not yet. Okay, the MOSFET is in open mode right now. There's nothing we can do. And see, there's a short circuit on this MOSFET now, because we opened the MOSFET. So let me try maybe to close the MOSFET using this one here. We try, there's a MOSFET here. Let me try to. Here we have a reading. This is the gate. Okay. So maybe let me try to close the MOSFET using a power supply. Let me try that part there. Okay, I'll come with a very little voltage, like for like 1 there, and try to come here with it. Okay, it's a 19-volt MOSFET, so let me try closing. Yeah, so 10. So let me use a multimeter now. See whether I've closed that MOSFET. And you can see now I don't have a beep on this. Okay, there's a beep. I've not closed the MOSFET. Okay. I don't know whether you'll manage to close that MOSFET, but this was to show you that MOSFET is a switch. There's a reading. I don't know whether you have been able to close it. Okay, not. So let's continue the video. Maybe I'll come up with another video to show you how to open a MOSFET and how to close a MOSFET. And so as we have seen now, the MOSFET is opened. And as I was trying to tell you before, you can see, let me put there. You can see we were trying to check the 3 pins are connected together. Yeah, these 3 pins are connected together, 1, 2, 3, and you see the trackpad here. This pin is totally independent from the other pins here, because this is the gate, and this is the source. The 3 pins are the source, and this is the drain. The 4 pins, all the 4 pins are connected together. If we come here, the multimeter, you can see there's a beep on my multimeter because the all 4 pins are connected together. But these 3 pins connected together, but the 4th one is not connected together because that is the gate. As you can see, we have a reading on my multimeter. So if we check the schematics of the same, if we come to check the schematics, you'll find here that this is the MOSFET that we have just googled. You can see this number here, PK6B2A. So let's check whether that is the MOSFET we are seeing on the you can see here, this is the PK. I don't know whether I can put the, maybe put the, okay, that one, it's even rubbing the, yeah, let's do that. It's a PK6B2BA. You can see this number, and this is how you find the MOSFET on the data sheet. MOSFET on the data sheet, and you try to get the schematics from the data sheet. So this is a PK6B2B. And so what we're trying to check here is the schematics for the same. And you can see this is the drain. The DDD stands for the drain. This is the schematic aspect of the MOSFET. D is the side that we have seen here. Let's check together. D. Okay, sorry, I was not showing you the MOSFET. I think this is the time I'm showing you. So yeah, this is the schematic aspect. We have the drain, the gate, and the source. I was trying to show you the PK6B2BA. This is the MOSFET that we are just from finding on the motherboard here. And so the drain is this side here, and the source is here, and the gate is here. You can see the dot here is the pin number 1. And here we have the features or the ratings of the MOSFET. We have TC 25 degrees Celsius, 30 voltage, maximum of 30 voltage plus 20 minus. So you can get all the characteristic of the MOSFET here. If you want to get those, the impedance, transfer characteristic, everything is here. Capacitance, on resistance, gate. So everything is here if you want to go into detail. And all this data is available on the data sheet for those who want to know, to go further with understanding a MOSFET. So I'm only interested on this part of the schematics, the drain, source, and the gate, because that is the part I want us to see. Now we are getting 19 volts on the drain, but we are not getting anything on the source and the gate because of the short circuit. So let's go back to the microscope mode here. Yeah, so we are getting the voltage on this part here, you see. So let me take the, okay, you can remember now since the MOSFET is in open mode. So sometimes you'll be forced to remove this MOSFET and to come with the voltage injecting wire here. If you remember, I've tried to do that severally. You'll have to remove this MOSFET. Or if you're not going to remove this MOSFET to see where the short is, at least have to use a multimeter or any power supply and short the source and the gate to turn the MOSFET, to change the MOSFET from closed mode to open mode, so that the MOSFET can flow power from this side to the other side. Like now it's doing. Before you saw that it was flowing, we could get voltage here but nothing on this side because the MOSFET was in closed mode for protection. MOSFETs are used for protection in case there's a power surge or high voltages or short circuits. You see, the first time the MOSFET was trying to protect the motherboard by closing because the MOSFET detected a short circuit. So now the MOSFET, we have opened the MOSFET and now it's passing power on the other side, and now this is how you use the power supply to detect the short circuit. When you insert the charger, like here I'm going to do, you see, this is the charging. I insert the charger, check on my power supply, the MOSFET is taking 5 amperes, and that is a short circuit. When the motherboard is doing 5 amperes, that is abnormal because we don't have many motherboards today that are taking 5 amperes too. And the other thing you do, you check on the part of the voltage, the part of the voltage, the V side. You can see this part here, the V side. This one I'm pointing on my power supply, the V side and the A side, the V side and the A side. So the voltage side, you'll get a power drop, as you can see, power drop to 4, and amperes goes up to 5. So the power drop is as a result of short circuit. So what is a short circuit now? We've been talking about short circuit and we don't know what is a short circuit. So let's go back to the camera mode and try to see what is a short circuit, and why we are getting the 5 amperes. So now we are back to camera mode. So short circuit, this is the negative probe on my power supply and this is positive probe. If you can check on my power supply, you're going to get a short circuit. This is a short. You see, it's dropping to 5. The same way we, after plugging the charger back to the motherboard, we are getting a drop of 4 voltage and 5 amperes. Now we are getting 1 voltage and 5 amperes being drawn by the power supply because that is a short circuit. So if you, I don't know whether you be in a position to see this, unless we go to microscope mode and you see what short. So in short, a short is when the ground and positive meet. In a motherboard, short and ground is not supposed to meet in a motherboard. Ground is supposed to be dependent of the positive. So when they meet, you have a short circuit, and that's why you register that 5 amperes being drawn by the motherboard on that side. So this means on this motherboard, there's somewhere the plus is meeting with the negative, or the live is meeting with the ground, or the plus is meeting with the minus. So if we go back to the microscope mode, here it is. I don't know whether you'll be able to see that, but you'll see that under short circuit you'll find some sparks being this is like let me try like to, you see. Okay, let me try to focus so that you can see that. Let's see whether you're going to get some sparks. You see? I hope you can see some sparks here. Okay, let me put 19 volts so that the sparks can be a bit more, so that you understand. You see? You see? You see, it's even burning there. So that's a short circuit. You see, when the voltage is high, the short circuit is too much. You can see it's burning the wire because the live is meeting with the ground, and the voltage is too high. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm using this one to show you that there's fire that is coming. There is fire. There is fire that is coming out of the 19 volts meeting with the ground. See, that is fire that is coming out of that, and this is why we get the the components getting very hot when there's a short circuit on the motherboard, like we are going to see in this case here. Because that same power you see that is shorting the fire, that is even burning the wire, consuming the wire, is the same amount of heat that is being drawn by a component that is shorting on the motherboard. And that's why we use power supply to inject voltage, so that the component that is shorted to the ground can absorb that power, that fire you see there consuming the wire, and you get to see where the short is. So now let's come here and let me show you the component that is getting hot here. So after I insert the charger, you'll see that that component is going to take a lot of heat. The reason as to why the component is taking a lot of heat is because of what I've just shown you there, the fire being produced after live and negative plus and minus meet. You can see it's drying. You see how this component is drying the alcohol at a very high rate. Let me use the flux here. Yeah, that's why we use power supply to inject voltage and see what is going to get hot. Because remember look my camera here, the touching of the live and positive, the negative and positive, producing some heat, fire. It's producing fire that is also, and the same heat is going to be transferred on the component that is shorted to the ground. Like in this case here, check that capacitor there. You see, that capacitor is taking a lot of heat. And remember, I've reduced the voltage to 9 now. It's not the 19 we used to have. And that's why that is getting very hot, because this is the point where the ground and the plus it's meeting and producing a lot of heat, like we have seen on those two probes, well, for the power supply under the 19 volts power rail, that are, you can see the smoke. I hope you can see also the smoke on this area here, because of that power being drawn by the, yeah, and you can tell that cup is damn hot. That cup is very hot, and if you used your finger to touch it, definitely you would burn your finger. And so we are going to get rid of that cup right away and see whether this is going to change. So that is how to find short in a laptop motherboard. I've just given some tips on how you can use multimeter to find some short circuit on motherboard, and how you can use power supply to find short circuit on a motherboard. And I hope it's helpful, and I hope that one you're something that is going to help you in your future repair, in your future laptop motherboards repair. And that's why we are here, to try and to expound on that. So I'm going to get rid of that cap right away, actually right now. Yeah, the cap is out. Yes, we can replace that cap. We can replace the cap if we want to replace the cap, but it's not always a must replace the cap. You see why? Yeah, so maybe I'm going to use this is the part we have removed our cap. You may decide to replace this cap or even leave it that way, because we have another one here that is still going to do the same work. So let me take an example of like 3 soldiers who are guarding a building, or maybe three police officers who are guarding a building. So the fact that one has gone for lunch does not mean that the building is not under security because one was left back. You have 2 police officers guarding a door, and one decides to go for lunch. Okay, can you claim that the building is not, that building does not have a security? No, when you go there, that one soldier may protect the building, or may shoot you when you try to maybe to enter the building forcibly. So the same way with the cap, if there are 2 and remove one, the remaining one can still do the work. Or if you want to be perfect, and if you want to be flawless, or maybe do the job the way it's supposed to be, you can still get a motherboard and get another capacitor of the same value and come and replace it. So it's still okay. And now let's insert the charger and see whether the short is gone. Check my power supply, and if you check my power supply, you notice that now we don't have a short circuit. So let me come out of the microscope mode maybe, so that we can see this together. Okay, Yeah, so we are from removing that cap. Actually, we'll go up to 19 volts now. Let's go up to 19 volts that way. And now come with the, let's insert there. And you can see, now we are not having the 5 amperes being drawn by the motherboard. We are having 32 milliamps. And what I can say in this case here is that the short is gone. So the other thing we are going to test is we'll come with a multimeter. You see the areas we were testing with the multimeter and we were getting beeps on both sides here. Remember? Beep both sides. Remember there were these areas here. And now you come with a multimeter. You're not getting a beep now. You see? You're not getting a beep on this side, but you're getting a beep on the other side. Yeah, we will go under the microscope to confirm this. We are not going to get tired, so that you understand this. Yeah, let's go back under the microscope so that you see the areas we were touching and we were getting beep on both sides. Yeah, these are the areas here. So let me go under the 4 caps we were touching previously. You see these areas here. So I come with a multimeter. We were getting both sides a beep. Now you can see it's a beep on one side. What about the other side? We have a value, or we are not having a beep. You see, beep on one side. Remember, this is what we talked about. The capacitor should behave this way. Beep on one side, but a value on the other side. You see, now the short is gone because now that cap has been removed. The cap that was causing the short circuit to happen. So now this motherboard is not shorted again, and that's why after connecting the power jack, we are now getting a value of milliamps, and it's not a short circuit. So let's go back to camera mode. Sorry. Yeah, back to camera mode. So you see now the short is gone. And now the voltage, you can see the 19 volts on the power supply now is not going down. There's not a voltage drop. There's no a voltage drop like it was we were getting before, a voltage drop from 8 to 4, sometimes 19 to something like 7 or 5. Now the 19 volts is stable and taking 34 milliamps. So if I come with a multimeter here and try to take voltages, now we will get to see that the voltage is flowing on the other side of the MOSFET, like here, 18.8 down. Now the voltage is flowing on the other side of the MOSFET. And so guys, this was a lesson to try and show you how to find a short circuit. When this motherboard came, the first thing I realized is that there was a short circuit on this motherboard, and I said, let me take take advantage of this one to show you how you find a short circuit in any motherboard. Up to this point, we don't have a short. Maybe we may have other issues with the chip that has been soldered by this client here, by the technician here. Maybe they are dead components on this motherboard. I'm not sure. I'm going to work further on this motherboard, but I just wanted you to know how to check for a short circuit in any motherboard. And that's it for today, guys. And I want you guys to know that I really appreciate for your support, and the people who have subscribed, thank you so much. And if you have not subscribed, guys, please subscribe, because a lot of you are watching and you have not subscribed to this channel. I was getting those statistics the other day from the YouTube, and I think just a very small number of subscribers, like I'll post those statistics there, and very few of my YouTube viewers have subscribed to my channel. Guys, please support my work, and I'll appreciate, and I'll be more than grateful, guys. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you. Bye.